Every morning in China and also in America, in places like Philadelphia, San Francisco, New York City, millions of people, either alone or gathered in small groups or large groups, get together in beautiful places such as this park or on street corners to practice Qigong. Qigong literally means the work of the life force. Qi, spelled C-H-I or Q-I, is the power of the life force that flows through all of us and all of nature. Gong, G-O-N-G or K-U-N-G, is the work that one gives oneself to, a life's work. So Qigong is a 5,000-year-old practice for wellness and healing that can be done to enhance the well-being of an individual, and that's called self-cultivation Qigong. Or it can be done as medical Qigong, when a Qigong doctor or practitioner treats patients for their well-being or their return to health. Qigong is not a religion, although it can enhance our spiritual paths. My call is to follow the teachings of Jesus, and I do that as best I can, and Qigong has deepened my experience of Christianity. All traditions are respected by me, and you might find that your tradition is deepened by the practice of Qigong as well. It's based on a theory called the 5 elements theory, which include fire, earth, air, sometimes called metal, water, and wood, and they surround us and they affect us all. You'll notice that my apparel is a little different. When we do Qigong or Tai Chi or a lot of the martial arts, inner or outer martial arts, we use things that are comfortable. Loose-fitting clothing of any sort is good. You may find some people will have silky kinds of garments on, almost looking like pajamas. The idea is that it helps to facilitate the flow of the qi by using something silky, but plain old cotton is very nice as well. On my chest you see the symbol for qi, which, as you know now, is the life force, which we're going to draw from our beautiful surroundings here by our moving, our breathing, and our meditating. We'll do some warm-ups and some simple Qigong moves for the first part of our experience. Then we'll move into a set called the 5-element Qigong Tai Chi series. So let's begin with some opening circles. We want to kind of be loose and relaxed. You don't want the knees to be locked in any way. And just kind of open your heart and your chest and your back with some very nice large circles. You can do as many of these as you like. And we can go slowly, as if we're moving through an element, the element of qi, or the force that's in everything. And I'm going to pivot a little bit to my left and continue these circles. And you can do that as well. Those of you who are more familiar with this kind of work or play will know that you want to keep the movements flowing from one posture to another without a break, if you can do that. But in the beginning you may need to stop and start as you move from form to form. And now I'm going to just pivot on my feet once again to the right and continue with these opening circles. The idea being that we're opening ourselves up to the universe. And to the front once again. As many as you like. A little more slowly than you might imagine. You don't want to go real fast. Depending on your day and your mood, it will vary a little bit. And we can bring those into stillness. And I'm going to kind of move over my physical body now and pull off what the Chinese call evil qi, Kind of a strange concept for Westerners, but you might think of it as the stress that clings to you, that we pick up when we're around some people who sort of drain us and bring us down, and other folks who enliven us or give us a lift. We don't end at our skin. We draw from the people around us. So our bodies, our minds, our spirits get stressed. And this is kind of a way of pulling it out and throwing it into the earth to be recycled. And in the West, we tend to forget this. So it's good to remember to do this little kind of ritual of cleansing the evil chi. Now I'm going to raise my palms up and let my arms float upward to the heavens. And when they get upward, move them back down again, palms down. This movement is called connecting heaven and earth. In the Chinese tradition, we live really in three realms: the heavenly realm, and the earthly realm, and the human realm. And we humans are in between the two, and we draw from the chi of heaven above and the chi that surrounds us in all of nature, and it kind of mixes within us. And this symbolizes pulling down the heavenly chi and moving up the earthly chi. Kind of the ups and downs, the darkness and light that we all deal with, that might be depicted here in the sunlight for us. It mixes in the area below the navel called the dantian, sometimes called the hara, or just sometimes the lower abdomen. You'll hear me using those various terms as we move through the day. We actually want to do our work out of that area. We want to collect qi into the dantian, and if you were a Qigong doctor or healer, you would be pulling the qi out to transmit to another person through that area. So the center of our being is not the head or the heart, but actually this area below the navel. Now we'll move into another little Qigong move called lifting the sky. We can place our hands downward, make a little platform with our hands, palm facing downward, and we're going to swing our hands outward, arms extended, and just let them float up. And when they get to the top of the head, we'll give a little push to the sky and let them float downward, palms downward. Lifting the sky. Fingertips toward one another. Hands floating upward. Think of the sky being lifted up and the chi from the sky washing over us. We'll do another one of those. I'll do a few of these various things, and you're able to run, rerun, take notes, anything you like. If I were with a large group and we were not captured on tape, I would do some more of these, but I'm sure you get the idea. I'm going to flow into carrying the moon. So I'm going to bend at my waist, fingertips toward the earth, and gently move upward. Unbending at the waist, arms extended. Hands are going to float up above my head. I'm going to use my first finger and thumb to make a circle above my head like a moon. And give it a little push and let it float downward. The chi of the moon washing over us, so to speak. And we'll just flow right into the next one. The moon chi is yin chi, which is cooler. Yang chi is hot, and that would be the chi of the sun. Nice circle above us with a little push. Arms floating downward, palms downward. We'll do one more of these. Are you breathing? Let's remember to breathe. There's a tendency to hold our breath when we do some of this work. or even just working out in the gym. But we don't want to do that. We want to breathe from the lower abdomen as best we can. Now let's just relax. And I'm going to flow into some figure eights with my hips. And you want the feet to be maybe shoulder width apart or a little more. And for some feedback for beginning, you might want to put your hands on your hips. We're going to take that left hip and push it back, and then push it toward the right and front, making a figure eight. And then the right hip goes back and then goes across, making the eight to the upper left quadrant. And then the left hip back, so that the crux of the eight is between the legs, and we're moving in a kind of a backward move. And this may take a little practice for you, but it's extremely helpful. You'll see that a lot of these moves loosen up the various joints of the body, such as shoulders, arms, hips, ankles. And this move helps to connect the top and the bottom of the being, the body. We can add that heaven and earth move, a little variation of it actually, a kind of a U shape, by letting the arms float upward and downward in the middle as we make the move. Palms downward. This gives an added dimension. What I'm going to do now is reverse those figure eights. I'm going to push the hips forward. So again, you can take your left hand and push that left hip forward, and let's move the diagonally across to the right back and move that forward, right front. Figure eight in the forward direction. The first one, when we did it toward the back, was the yin figure eight, and this is the yang figure eight. Takes a little practice, but it's very helpful. And again, just to confuse you, I'm going to add a little movement with my hands, kind of a connecting heaven and earth. As I move the right hip, the right hand goes up on the right side, left hip, hands go up on the left side. And breathing from the dantian. Every once in a while you may feel the need to yawn, which is your body thirsting for more oxygen. Feel free to do that. You may feel a sigh being emitted or a sound. Let go of your tension in that way. Great. And I'm going to move into a little bit of stillness for a moment. And then just kind of extend my arms outward. And let's look like we're turning on two faucets. And pull back. And let's move forward. Turn the faucets off again. Turn the faucets on. Pull back. Move the arms forward. And turn the faucets once again. Good. One more time. Feeling free to yawn or to sigh or to stretch. To do these things as often as you like. If something kind of feels very good for you, be with that. Let's the arms relax comfortably at your sides. Take a moment and experience what's going on. Drop inward. We often forget to do that in the West. What's going on? Are you beginning to feel a little warmth or tingle or pulse? Is there a little tightness or a little pain, something like that, that's new to you? Then just be with it, and you'll find that it will most likely resolve very quickly as that meridian opens up. Very good. Now I'm going to just kind of hang from my hips. And I'm going to turn to the side, but you don't need to do that. So you get a little sense of it. A little buoyancy, a little bouncing. And feet more than hip width apart. Let's take the fingers and touch them to the opposite toes. And if any of this is a little bit beyond your comfort level, feel free to skip it or adapt it. Respect your own challenge, your own limits, and just go with it. We're moving into a couple little yoga postures, actually, which help to loosen up the physical body. And one is to get on all fours. The knees are under the hips, the hands are under the shoulders. And just think of the tailbone being pulled back behind you and the head being pulled forward. And just stretch the spine. This is called the table in yoga. And let's arch the back and tuck in the chin to do the cat. And reverse it, belly down, head up, for the dog. We're waking up our spine, reminding it that it's made up of a lot of pieces and that it can loosen up and hydrate the discs. Again, doing what is comfortable for you, not going beyond any medical recommendations. I'm going to do an Indian push-up, which might be a little bit beyond what we're doing. I'm just going to kind of move through my hands here and stand on my toes. You can just watch, or if you know a little yoga, you can do this. This is called the upward dog. And breathe. And the spine is realizing it can bend forward like this. And I'm going to move up in the air with my rear and do the downward dog. And walk my hands and feet together. And very slowly straighten up the spine from the base upward, vertebra by vertebra. Waking up the physical body helps to wake up the chi body or the energy body. Sometimes we just go right to the chi. At other times, if we have more time, we do some physical moving as well. We have the circulatory system of the heart and the blood vessels, but we also have the circulatory system of the chi, which flows through the meridians and connects to the major organs. You can use a candle or some incense or some soft music, if you like, in the background to do your Qigong. But it's good not to become too dependent on it. So you'll hear a little music in our background, but there may be times when there is no music. It's helpful to be able to integrate this kind of work into your day. A few moments in the privacy of your office, if you have one at work, or in the stairwell, or in the parking lot, or in your car before you go in is very, very helpful. A few thoughts about breathing. I said earlier we want to breathe from our dantian. When we're little babies, that's exactly what we do. You may remember little babies, when they inhale, the stomach inflates, the lower abdomen. When they exhale, it contracts, it relaxes. We want to do that at least some time during our day, every once in a while, maybe taking a few minutes to do that. or just being aware of the breath is extremely helpful. We don't want to breathe just with our rib cage, which is anxious breathing, which is shallow breathing. We want to oxygenate our blood, and we want to vitalize the qi that will flow through us, maximize everything we can, draw it all from the universe. In terms of meditation, there are wonderful books available for it that can fit well into your particular spiritual path or philosophy. You can sit in the Japanese style, which is back on your heels, as I am doing right here. There are little meditation benches you can buy that are really just 3 pieces of wood, a seat kind of, and 2 sides. You go over your ankles or lower legs, and you can sit back on them, and they're very comfortable. They tilt a little bit forward, which tilts the pelvis forward and allows the spine to stay pretty straight, which is very helpful in meditation to allow the qi to move up the spine and to flow well. The use of a mantra, M-A-N-T-R-A, or a repetitive word or phrase is extremely helpful. If you're wondering how to begin to meditate, many of you have probably done meditation for many years, but for new people or those who want to revitalize their practice, a mantra, a word, it means mental tool actually. It could be, "Come Lord Jesus," "Shalom," "Shanti," a word that we just gently use over and over. And when we find ourselves thinking about the kids or packing lunches for tomorrow or financial problems or health issues, we just gently return to that anchor. The Trappist monks, Basil Pennington and Thomas Keating, talk about centering prayer. That's very much the same thing from a Christian point of view. A mantra or mental tool can also be breath, paying attention to our breathing in and breathing out, or looking at a candle flame, or listening to music. Many ways of anchoring or gently bringing things back to center. Above all, get rid of judgment and harsh ideas, competition. I'm not meditating right, or I should, that awful word should, I should not have any distractions. That's impossible. The mind is like a monkey, the Hindu scriptures say, swinging from tree to tree. So there will be movement, there will be distraction, but we don't get rattled by it. Just gently return to our mantra, to our thought, to our scriptural passage, whatever it is, without judgment. The 5-element form of Qigong takes just a few minutes to do each set, but it's done 5 times. It's done facing forward, then to the side, then to the back, then to the other side, and the front again. An introductory set of movements and 5 sets of movements, one for each of the 5 elements in the universe and in nature, are then done 5 times, representing each of the elements. The 5-element form has associated with it, each element, the first one being fire, has associated with it 2 organs of the body and a color. The organs are connected to this element, or really energy, movement of life. And the color is thought to sort of resonate or vibrate with those organs, with the meridians that flow through the arms, through the legs. 6 of the meridians end in the hands, 6 of them end in the feet. So I'll go through the whole form one time. It'll just take a few moments, and then I'll take it apart and we will learn to do this. As I said, the complete thing is done 5 times. I'll go through it once just to give you a feel for it. Maybe you can get a sense of what are the introductory movements, what are the movements for fire, for earth, for air, for water, and for wood. The introductory movements are relatively simple, but a little more complicated than some of the movements later on. It kind of simplifies as it goes. We start out by making some circles at our sides with our arms. I'll begin looking forward and then I'll turn sideways so you get the idea. For any Qigong, Tai Chi, the kind of basic stance is sometimes called the horse riding stance, where our legs are kind of like we're riding a horse. Little bend in the knees. We don't want to lock the knees ever. You can think of a golden cord or a thread being held by God or Kuan Yin in the heavens, keeping us kind of loose like a marionette, or beach balls under our arms or behind our knees or between our legs, a kind of a buoyant feeling so that the qi can flow more easily. So with feet maybe a little more than shoulder width apart and a little bend in the knees, palms facing back, let's begin to draw some circles moving upward. The circles are going to the top of them will be just above the shoulders, around the height of the shoulders. We create the top of the circle and move back downward, maybe with a little more of a bend, and then a little upward movement of the knees as we create the circles. I just do a few of these various moves, but we'll repeat some of them. I'm going to turn now a little bit to give you a sense of how things look from the side. Some Qigong masters say, when in doubt, make circles. Sometimes you may find that this will be the practice you want to do one day for the day. Just do this for a repeated period of time, 5, 10, 15 minutes, any of these things. You can take little pieces. Main thought is to learn these things, to forget them, so that our inner mind, our body, kind of has memorized them and we can forget about it with that left hemisphere of the brain and just let the right kind of take over. Now I'm going to continue on in this introductory set by kind of moving my left foot back and then my right, and placing my right hand below my hara or dantian, the right hand above, and let the hand slide downward, opening up the chakras or the energy centers believed to reside up and down the trunk of the body. It's a bit more of an Indian or yogic concept. And we'll go through this again. And I'm going to then, for the final opening move, right hand out and scoop in qi and place it in the dantian. Left hand out, scoop qi, place it in the dantian. And we repeat that. Right hand out, left hand out. Very good. That's the set for the opening moves. I'm going to go through them again, and then I'm going to add the first element, which is fire. So I'm going to step forward again because that's where I started. And again, that nice loose feeling. Legs a little more than hip width apart, little bend in the knees, palms facing backward. Let's create some nice circles. Get that sense of upward motion, circling downward as we bend a little bit at the knees. Upward, downward. As I come downward this second time, I'm going to move the left foot forward, left foot backward, and then the right foot backward. Right hand below the hara or dantian, left hand just above the head, sliding downward. Get a sense of everything opening up in the trunk of your body. And are you breathing nice and gently but deeply? And now the right hand reaches out and scoops in qi from the universe, places it in the lower abdomen, and then the left. then the right and the left. And I'm going to move into the fire element now. You can just leave your hands near your dantian because this will flow to the next element. The fire element is associated with the heart and the small intestine. All the organs are in pairs. They're treated in pairs and they're worked with in pairs. The color is red. So if you want, you can think of red flowing over you, washing through you, eat red food, wear red clothing, anything that will help you to resonate with red for the heart and the small intestine. One organ collects the qi, the second organ moves the qi through the body. They work yin and yang, they work in pairs. Now I'm going to step forward with my right foot and take my fingertips and place them at the heart and spiral outward, leaning forward on that right foot, getting rid of the negative qi, spiraling inward, taking in the qi from the sun, placing it in the heart. Forward, spiral outward, backward, spiraling inward. I'll do this a few times so you get a feel for it, although I usually only do it twice. Whatever leg is weighted is called the full leg, and the leg that is not weighted is called the empty leg. So as we move forward, that's the full leg, full of qi, so to speak. As we move backward, the left leg is that way. Now we're going to move into the earth element. Hands at the heart, left foot comes back up parallel to the right, and we're going to swing our arms outward in just a moment. The earth element is associated with the spleen and stomach, and the color for it is yellow. So let's let the arms unfold, fingertips pointing to the earth, out to the sides, and we'll make a nice big circle with a little bend as we do it and a little stretch. I'm going to make a couple of those. I'm going to stop by putting my fingertips on my spleen, kind of in the middle of the trunk. It's actually a little to the left, but I'm just kind of put fingertips to the spleen and then to the stomach. Just a little reminder of those organs. Now we move to air. The air element is also called metal. I typically refer to it as air or metal. And the lungs and the large intestine are associated with the air element or movement. When I say element, I really mean an energy or a force. And the air element is associated with the color white. And sometimes there's a logic to it and sometimes there isn't. So for this one, the idea of the lung is connecting with air is very obvious. We're going to pivot with the right heel and reach out with the right hand, scoop in air, and place it into the nostrils. And we're going to pivot out with the left, scoop in air from this beautiful place, and place it in the nostrils. I'm going to do that again. Scooping air into the nostrils, left and right. And then we just kind of move hands forward and gather air in with the right and with the left, right and left. And put the hands by the hara for a moment as we talk about water. The water element is associated with the kidneys and bladder. And the color for it is deep blue, ocean blue, indigo kind of blue. And for that, we're going to move the left foot forward and lean forward, raise our arms upward and kind of gather the waters from the heavens, lean backward and let it wash over us. And we can just do this a number of times so you get the feeling for it. And remember to breathe and to move inward, to experience what's going on within me as I do this. And to do it without judgment. I'm going to conclude the water element now by taking the left foot and placing it back parallel to the right. And hands can be at the side for the wood element. The wood element is associated with the liver and the gallbladder. And the color for that is green. So we're going to take the hands, again, a little bend in the knees. We're going to just make a big circle in front of us, as if we're hugging a tree. The wood element, hugging a tree. Fingertips not quite touching. And standing there making this nice big circle. And kind of opening up the area between the legs, the perineum, so that the qi can flow up the spine and down the front. There are two very important meridians there that are used a lot in Qigong. This particular stance is a pose that can be done all by itself. You can just do this and stand here for a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10, 20, 30, an hour. This is a classic sacred Qigong pose. And it may look as if you're doing nothing or next to nothing, but you're actually stretching on the physical level some tendons and vessels and so forth that aren't used to this kind of stance. And it can create a lot of power. When I was in China, this was taught to me as an individual stance. It's called a static pose by a Qigong master, a hermit that lived near a monastery deep in the woods. I'm just staying here a little longer than normal to talk to you and to give you a sense of it. Now, we conclude by letting the hands float downward, at least that first phase, and I'm going to do it now to the other side. You take the left foot and kind of move the toes in toward the right and pivot. And we're facing the other side. And just to give you the idea, remember we said it's done 5 times. So I'm going to do this again, maybe a little with a little less chatter from the side, and you might get a better idea of how we're going. So again, that nice loose stance with a little bend. Introductory movements, circles. Stepping backward with the left and right. Left hand above, right below. Left arm floating downward. Scooping in qi from the universe. Fire element, fingertips at the heart, right foot forward, spiraling outward, negative qi going away, leaning backward, healthy qi coming in. Left foot forward for earth, fingertips at the heart, arms opening up, fingertips pointing downward and extending to the sides, nice circle. Touching the spleen and the stomach, and then the air element. We pivot out to the right, air into the nostrils, pivot out to the left, air into the nostrils, air, right and left. Sometimes you can get more fluid and creative and just kind of do your own moves with it. Water, left foot forward, scooping in the air, the water from the universe, letting it wash over you, cleansing, refreshing, bringing new life. Left foot back, parallel to the right, Nice big circle, hug a tree for wood. I'm going to continue on and do this now in the next direction, so you'll just see my back, perhaps not my most flattering side, but it will give you a good view because you'll be able to do it exactly as I am. It won't be a mirror image. Left toes tilt in toward the right, and we make a nice little swing. Let the arms float downward, palms backward, opening moves. Circles at either side. Second circle, step back with left and right. Right hand below, left hand above. Gently moving downward, opening up. Scooping in chi from the universe. And do that 2 times. Fingertips toward the heart for fire. Right hand forward, spiral outward. Lean backward, spiral inward. Outward, inward. Fingertips to the heart. Left foot parallel to the right, moving forward. Fingertips down and out with the arms as we make a nice big circle for earth. Touch the spleen and the stomach with the fingertips. Pivot to the right for air. Scoop in the air. With the left, scoop in the air. Scoop in the air from the front with right and left. We move to the water element. Left foot forward, gathering the water from the heavens as we lean back and let it wash over us. One more time. Wash over us. Left foot back parallel to the right. For wood, a nice big circle. Stay there quietly for a moment. And now to make our turn, left toes move toward the right foot, and we gently pivot around. Let the arms float downward, hands backward. We want to go now with the introductory moves here. Eventually we would like to kind of keep an even flow so that there's very little movement, gaps between the moves. Left and right backward, left above, right below. The life force coming in, packing it into the dantian to use for ourselves or for others. Fire, right foot forward. Left foot comes forward for earth. Spleen, stomach get touched. Air. Water. Wood. And for the 5th and last time, left toes get pointed toward the right. We gently move around. Hands float downward. When this is in your heart and your soul, it becomes meditation, and it flows, and it is quite healing. There's a great deal of research growing every day on the healing properties of Qigong and related approaches. Good scientific hard data. So you'll be hearing more and more about these things. Some of it's in English, much of it's in Chinese, and as it's translated, we'll have more, and as it's done, it will become more and more available. If I've made any little movements or errors, just ignore them. When it's in your heart and mind and you just do it, it flows beautifully. When you have to stop and think and engage that rational side of your brain, it can sometimes interfere, but I think we did pretty well. I'm going to do some closing circles now. Remember how in the beginning we were in a nice relaxed stance and we made big outward circles in 3 directions? Now we're going to reverse that. Again, these are all options. These are just some things I've woven together. Place the hands below the hara, and let's move inward now, as if we're taking in the chi and thanking the Creator and creation. Kind of an ending. And we're just going to flow into the next set of circles by pivoting to my left. You'll be doing the opposite. It'll be your left. And again, we want to be able to go without a lot of breaks. This is kind of creating a circle of chi all around us, so we don't end at our skin. And I'm going to pivot to the right. And forward. And we often conclude with hands over heart. This is just one way of reverencing the sacred in the other person, and perhaps a bow to that person. Bow to ourselves, bow to the sacred, which is all around us. There are whole hospitals in China that use medical Qigong as a main treatment. Sometimes it's a department within a hospital or the entire hospital. Many incorporate more Western practices these days, such as blood work or MRIs, things such as this to measure baseline and progress in healing when being treated by a Qigong doctor. If you were to go to a Chinese hospital for this sort of treatment, you would perhaps go several times a week and have a diagnosis and treatment be given to you by a Qigong practitioner. And you would be taught things similar to what you've learned today to practice at home. Eastern medicine is about staying well and living in such a way so that if we do become ill, we can recover more quickly. A little different from the West, where our thought is to wait until it's broken to fix it. Some of the signs of progress, they may not sound that way, in doing Qigong would be some sensations which may occur. Things such as tingle, or pulse, or heat, or coolness, changes in the body as we do our work. These sensations often occur in the hands or the feet, but can occur pretty much anywhere. Once in a while, as I mentioned earlier, there may be a new bit of soreness or pain which occurs and then resolves itself fairly quickly. All of this in conjunction with your health care provider, nothing ever done beyond anything that you've been instructed to do by someone who knows you and is a professional. These kinds of things occur sometimes, these little aches or soreness, perhaps in the head or behind the eye, maybe in the area of the chest, or maybe in the dantian area, the lower abdomen. They're the three dantians, actually, or the three sort of centers of the body where a great deal of qi is. And they can sometimes be alleviated by something as simple as some self-massage. Not sliding over the skin, but moving the skin with the fingertips. It's as if deviant qi or evil qi has kind of gotten stuck and we want to open it up. If a little dizziness occurs, it may be because we've gotten a large burst of qi and we're just not used to that kind of energy. Actually, it can be a very good thing. Something is opening up, a meridian that's flowing up the back or down the front or to the hands or to the legs or to the head. And just back off a little bit. Move back a little and relax, rest a little, be a little less vigorous in your workout. As you get used to this kind of work, you'll find that things go very nicely. Much of my background is in the scientific method. About half of my doctorate and other degrees are in that sort of training. So I have great reverence for hard data, and I look for that. My mind gears up for finding those kinds of studies, and I respect that. And if you're a Westerner, and certainly in the East as well, you'll be looking for that too. Try to approach your practice with an open mind. Don't let the science stop you. Let it be what it is, a helper to take us along. Let's use it wherever we can and go beyond. There are frontiers out there that are yet untapped. You may feel a little warm sweat break out on your body, even though you're not moving very vigorously, because the qi begins to flow very powerfully in these invisible meridians. You may also experience a little insomnia if you do it too close to bedtime. So I would suggest doing it earlier in your day, or certainly a few hours before you retire. And give yourself some time after a meal, a few hours, because the digestive processes will be going on and will be drawing the blood and the qi to those organs to work there for us, and we'll be working in conflict with them if we're doing our Qigong. So give yourself some time after a meal before you do your Qigong. You can prepare for your practice by doing a little physical movement, some of the warm-ups we did today, or just a few stretches, very ordinary kinds of things that you may have learned in a health club or in a gym, somewhere like that. Be open, be flexible. There are many, many books around, many wonderful tapes. Be aware of your surroundings as you do your Qigong, but in a peripheral kind of way. Enjoy the beauty of them, but don't let the five thieves, which are what we call the five senses, take you too far afield from your experience. Gently return to your inner experience. This is not about purely physical calisthenics kind of thing. This is about a different circulatory system. We talked earlier about the physical circulatory system, the heart, the cardiovascular system, but qi flows through another circulatory system, and we want to become very conscious of that. You also don't want to practice Qigong when you're ill, particularly if you're very ill, or you want to practice a Qigong that will be very compatible with that, perhaps a meditating kind of Qigong, or a breathing kind of Qigong, so that you might be actually lying in bed, breathing in healthy qi and expelling evil qi in and out, or using your mind to send the qi to an area of the body that seems to need some help. There's certainly good evidence that this kind of practice and other self-regulatory practices speed up wound healing and enhance the immune systems, things such as this. So you can use the mind. The mind tells the qi where to go. And you can then speed up wound healing by sending the qi to the arm or the leg or to where the stitches are or where the break is. Always, always, always consulting with healthcare professionals so that we know what we're working with and you're not flying blind, that you get a good diagnosis. You don't want to practice in windy conditions. It sounds strange, I know, but the wind kind of blows the qi around. I gave a retreat one time, and the retreatants had me doing some Qigong healing on the beach, and it was beautiful, but it really inhibited it. We had to move indoors. It was gorgeous and just an uplifting setting, but it was too windy, and indoors I could sense the qi better, could move it around, and they got better results. And during turbulent weather, lightning and thunder and so forth, no, back off. If you are a Qigong healer, you don't want to treat others, as I'm sure you know real well if you're already trained at that level, if you yourself are very depleted, because you can risk burnout. We want to, when we give qi to others and work with others, to draw in qi as we emit it to others so that we don't become stagnant, we don't become sick ourselves. All of this comes from one philosophy in China would say from the Tao, the source of everything, the oneness, I would say the creator, God. And out of that oneness comes yin and yang, this beautiful, beautiful expression of healthy tension back and forth. And then comes the 5 elements: fire, earth, air, water, and wood. It's been a wonderful experience sharing this time with you, and I hope that you will benefit from using this video. I wish you every blessing and inner freedom. Thanks for being with us. I'm Brother Bernard Seif.